Susan B. Anthony, notable listener. Press B.
Press B, Anthony.
Press B.
Press B to Susan Anthony. No,
I still like the Presbyterians. That stuff's good.
The Presbyterians.
Yeah. If
Susan B. and the Presbyterian.
if I get fired from this thing, I want my major contribution to just go down as being the creator of the idea of Presbyterians.
All right, I think we're live now.
There doesn't seem to be anyone around.
You know what I don't understand? When we start doing an episode and all 5 of us are watching on YouTube, but we only have 3 viewers, I don't understand it. Somebody's lying to us.
My metrics don't count. I'm logged in as Jake. That's why he's getting 2 views in 1.
Look, as Char can tell you, I know very little about the algorithm. I just muddle my way through, honestly. But it works, I guess.
You got me 33 views on my Doom playthrough, which I'm almost wanting just to spin the damn wheel at this point.
Already?
I don't want to play it anymore.
But it's not a long game, though, right? I don't think it is.
Long enough.
Bro, I haven't even started on Final Fantasy X. And
I'd rather do what you're doing again.
It's not looking good for me to start until June. So
fantastic.
6 months? That's all you need for the penalty run? Penalty box run? What is it?
The penitent man. The penitent man will pass.
So I mean, but that's the thing is, like, I was thinking, okay, if it takes 150 hours and I have 12 months, then that's, less than 15 hours a month. I think I should be okay.
All right.
No.
It'll take me 6 months to beat it without the penitent run. I can't get through that game at all. It's going to take me 6 months to do Battletoads, for fuck's sakes. It's been longer than 15 seconds, right? It has been.
If you keep playing it, you'd be done already.
I know. I took a week and a half break. I'm bad with this.
Took a month and a half break.
No,
I do practice Sonic while I'm listening to my class lectures. So I'm getting pretty decent at Sonic too.
I thought you're doing... Wait. You're done with Sonic 2.
While we're learning.
Oh, but your Wheel of Pain was Sonic 06, right?
Yeah, I haven't even started on that. I'll probably put that off until December 30th.
Okay. Do the Wheel of Pain back to back.
Sin Collective is in the house. What up, Sins? And Enthusiasts, good to see you. Welcome in.
Hey, folks. All right. We should start. Pro Protector. Hardly newer. Contra. Today on... point that I realized it's me hosting. Nope, they don't care. I edit out in the audio. It's fine.
Maybe we care. Maybe your team cares.
You care about the intro now?
We want to look professional, but not you.
When do you guys care about the intro? When have you ever given a damn about the intro?
Okay, if I didn't care about the intro, would I be asking people in chat this question? Which is a better opener? Pro Protector, I hardly knew her, or up, down, left, right, press B to cancel? Today
that is a good one. That is a good one.
Now we both slide them in.
Well, they use the Konami code on other games. We can save that for later. It's in the bank.
All right, so let me get this started.
Or I got one. Contra touch this today on.
Earlier I believe you did say Super CD's nuts. And I've been a fan of that one.
That's a great one.
I told a customer over the phone today that, and they didn't appreciate it, but...
Super CD's nuts. Alien Wars. Today on.
Can I sell you a package? Wow. All right. I need a clean break for the audio episode. Hold on. Great. That's great. Welcome, right, another episode of...
break from this podcast.
We almost had it. Had it.
I was almost there.
If only there was something I could do with hardcore. I can't think of any good puns involving hardcore. We'll get there.
Well, okay. All right.
That's what you said.
Welcome, right, another episode of Press B to Cancel, the best podcast you listened to 5 minutes ago. I am your host this week, Sick Jake, and not alone. No, I'm joined by two of the best Contra Illuminati experts I know. Chard, you're with me this week. How you doing today?
You don't know a lot of people.
I really
Hello,
don't.
yes, Contra. I am absolutely 100% familiar with this entire franchise.
Awesome. And GP, the sage of Contra. How you doing?
I want to say something like we do it Contra hardcore, but it's not flowing. It's not coming off the tongue yet. So I'm doing fine. It's good to see you. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me back.
It's like our opening line. We gotta workshop it a little bit. Maybe we should do a poll. Get chat to vote on the opening line, and then we get to start all over again.
So
right.
like maybe have like a hardcore poll.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
We need a
speechless.
laugh track. I feel like
do.
a lot of my jokes would go over better if people knew when to laugh.
If we had one of those in real life, right? I used to think my kids could be the
Right.
laugh track, but it doesn't work that way. They don't laugh at any of my jokes. They just go, "Daddy."
If eye rolling,
Yeah.
nice.
Okay.
That's the laugh track cue.
And that's what we have taken to calling you
Daddy.
because you insist that you are not our group leader.
Yeah.
So we have to
No,
call you
don't call me daddy.
Jake
I'd
is
rather you
now
call me
Sick
tyrant
Daddy.
instead of daddy. Oh, for fuck's sakes. All right. This week we're talking about
You say daddy.
Tyrant Daddy.
How about just T Daddy?
T Daddy.
T Daddy. Tyrant Daddy sounds like a
Tyrannosaurus
BioShock enemy. That's what is that what I would reduce to? I mean, I'm the new bad guy in a BioShock game. The T Daddy.
Look,
Or
You
Resident Evil.
are totally
Resident
bothered,
Evil.
and I would eat you up, no crumbs left. So
Okay.
From
As long as I eat up and not eat out, because that's a whole other kind of podcast. We don't do that here. Not on YouTube.
whoa,
Whoa.
whoa.
Okay.
There's
at
the
the salad
hardcore
bar.
one.
There's
That's the hard. Okay.
all right. So here's the thing. So I'm still in the middle of modding this arcade cabinet I got for Christmas, and it's got a vertical screen, right? And I've been looking at vertical arcade games that I might want to put on there. You know, Donkey Kong. You know, I think Circus Charlie is vertical. Balloon Fight. All the vertical arcade games, and I was surprised to find out
Joust.
that. Sorry. Are you bashing
Joust.
Circus Charlie already? We're only 5 minutes into the episode.
No.
Have we started the
balloon-
episode?
I said joust.
Oh,
What you meant to say was joust, not balloon.
no,
fight.
no, Joust.
I
That's
wasn't
a
here
whole.
for that
That's a
episode.
whole other episode, man. Anyway, so I was surprised to see that Contra was an arcade game. It was originally an arcade game, and it was vertical screen. I did not realize that. I don't want to talk about Contra, the arcade game, because it sucks. It's like, what can I say about a game where you feed it quarters, but it has limited continues? It's the only arcade game I know that says, no, you keep your damn money. You're getting a game over. Like, what arcade game does that? It's also pretty light on animation frames. So it's not a great game, but it inspired one of, like, I think is arguably one of the best NES games, and that is Contra for the Nintendo. So that's, I think, what we're going to focus on today is Contra on the Nintendo. And I do want to talk about a few of maybe the ports or sequels, if you guys are up for it, in the later half of the episode. So maybe let's start with like your experiences with Contra. Who wants to go first?
I'll go 1st
I'll-
because mine's
okay.
shorter, and
Okay.
GP's probably got some magic
I
within
got
those
about 45 minutes of content here. Yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Good. That's good because I've got like 5, which fills at least 50 minutes, and then the 10 minutes to start. Now I'm sandbagging. It's
All right.
fine. I did not play a lot of Contra. I wasn't very good at it. I recently beat it on my Steam Deck 3 nights ago when we were like, we're going to do a Contra episode. And I went, well, I should learn something about this, I guess. And no, I didn't beat it right. I beat it with the Contra code, the Konami code, because I wanted to at least get to the end. Which that stemmed me from checking out Super C, which is super bad for me. It's bad for me. It's not a bad game. I'm just not good at it. It's not a good game for me. And then I drifted over into Contra 3, Alien Wars, which I am still determined to try and get past the 3rd level on there. But God help me if that drill thing doesn't keep drilling me into the wall. I'm never going to complete anything. So that was it. I did not play a lot of Contra. We could get into the depths of Contra later on and the things that I do not care for and I do care for. Once GP's done with his 45-minute rant about how much he loves Contra.
Well, before GP goes off on his 45-minute solo run. So you
you
mentioned the
just
Konami
blueballed him.
code.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, if it makes you feel better, Chard, even with the Konami code, I couldn't beat the game, or at least not since I was a kid. So the neat thing is this is probably the game that most people remember the Konami code from. For those who are, not above 40 or not born in the 80s, back in the day before there's microtransactions and DLC, we had cheat codes. They were put in there in the game by the developers, and it was to make bug testing, QA testing easier. And the Konami code, like we joked in the beginning, up, down, left, right, etc., is to give you 30 lives in Contra. It also works in a bunch of Konami games. It started originally with Gradius, I believe, 2 years prior, but it's most famously known for Contra. So that code is, I think, what makes this game even remotely possible to beat for the average Joe. So, GP, you're not the average Joe, because I've seen you play this game. So, what about you?
All right. If you guys want to go get a drink and then come back in a bit. No, okay. So kind of the story that I tell is if you go back and watch any of my home videos from my childhood, for the majority of the ones indoors, my brother and I were playing Contra or, Kung Fu was really the other one that we kept around the house. So you're going to hear the soundtrack to either of those in a large and probably disturbing number of my home videos. And yeah, it is a source of great nostalgia. But aside from that, I think I've been able to kind of divorce that from just the enjoyable experience of playing it. And I like to think that even if I had picked up the game as an adult, I would still be like, yes, this is great. This is fantastic.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe we could start with breaking down what this game is. This is a run and gun shooter, right? And with multiple weapons you can pick up, you can duck, you can jump through the floor. It's a fantastic run and gun. But what I really love about this game, though, is that it's not just side-scrolling. There are sections between levels where you kind of go into a vertical, I don't want to call it a dungeon, but you go into bases, and it's kind of like change perspective from behind the guy view, and you kind of work your way through the bases. It's a really interesting perspective, and it's something they kept in, I think, most of the ports of the original Contra. But do you guys know if they kept that?
Did Super C have it?
I don't think so. I was going to say, does any of the ports or sequels have that behind the player view?
I want to say Super C is the one that I remember more so than the original Contra itself, because I don't ever remember that until I was watching people on Twitch stream. And probably GP actually was streaming it, I think, at one point. And he went into that the base. Yeah. And it's like, I don't remember this back view thing going on. I always thought it was side scrolling. So did anybody else have that one beyond that?
Contra 4 for the DS did, and then Contra 2 on, I think it was the second, and maybe it was only the second and the fifth level. Instead of being like the camera here, it was more just straight eagle eye.
Right.
Which I tell you, I think there's only been one time in my entire life I got through that fifth level of Super C unmolested. But anyway, yeah, and then Contra 4 for the DS did their own take on it, but it was much more animated. So every time you were running down a hallway, it was much faster and things were a little bit more animated. There were, left and right turns instead of just a straight shot. But those are the only two that I know of.
Right. So it's pretty interesting. There's the two different perspectives to the gameplay. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I like Circus Charlie so much. There's different perspectives on the gameplay. I'm not saying Circus Charlie's better than Contra, but, Contra is at least neat. Anyway, all right. So what's really cool about this game is, I don't know how much you guys are aware of maybe the differences between the regions. I did try doing some research this week for once, I know. I couldn't find anything on the development of the history, but I was able to find quite a bit on the...
You didn't look very hard.
Really? On the development history? All right.
Did you use Ask Jeeves? I feel like...
Excite.
Why?
Look, I asked ChatGPT for history of Contra for this episode, and it told me to F off.
Yeah, okay,
so,
that was your problem.
Yeah, that's my
it
problem
then told
right there.
you the end of the world was at the end of this year.
Yeah, that's the AI for you.
We don't know that it's not.
It's true.
My crystal ball is broken.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a cult yet, but maybe we could before the end of the year. The end of the
we don't have
millennium
a cult?
happens.
Did we not just talk about the whole Presbyterians? I think we're starting.
Susan B. and the Presbyterians.
I'll tell you this. I've been both a cult leader and a cult follower. You have more fun as a follower. You make more money as a leader. But anyway, not important.
Which one gets
can
you
be
the
both
shiny
if you
shoes?
like what you do and have people follow you? Does that make you one and the same?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. But if so, then I am firmly embedded in the cult of Chard.
It's all right.
Well, there
I
you go.
have a whole drawer full of Kool-Aid.
Do you have a coupon code for that Kool-Aid?
I think if you're drinking the Kool-Aid, savings is not your main concern.
That's
I got to
true.
get a lot of bags.
All right. So I was going to say
This
differences
train's so
in
off the
region, I
rails.
guess. We made the joke at the beginning of the episode, Probotector. Probotector is the European name of Contra. When the game first came out in arcades, this was unfortunately during the time of the Iran, Middle East Contra War.
Ran so far away.
Yeah. We're going to get slapped with a
Seagulls.
takedown. But yeah, so Iran Contra War. So in Europe, they changed the name to Greyzor in the arcades. And when they came to the NES port, they
Greyzor?
called it Greyzor. Yeah. And then when it came to the home port on the NES and other places, Probotector. And because of censorship issues, because, human on human violence is bad. But as, we all know, Terminator 2 with the T-1000 fighting Arnie, robot on robot violence is perfectly family friendly. So in Europe, Contra, they replace all the human characters with freaking robots for some reason, and they call it Probotector.
Well, that's why they explode.
Yeah, well, there you go. And they do that, and that's something like a
Marvel
tradition
does the
they
same
keep.
stuff.
They turn everybody into robots?
Okay,
Spider-Man.
Age of Ultron, Army of Robots, Avengers,
Ninja Turtles? Ninja
all
Turtles
the-
do it.
all the
Flint
aliens.
Soldiers are robots.
Right? Okay.
I mean, when was the last time we saw the Avengers kill a bunch of humans?
In a
Ultron.
theater, probably.
They
a couple
dropped
weeks
the freaking floating island of Sokovia on the people, and they killed everybody.
They didn't do that. That was nothing. That was Ultron.
That's
I mean, you
hearsay.
didn't see
Different
it.
Different
That's all
episode.
hearsay.
Sinister says it's Turok all over again.
Yeah, it's just true. Yes, all this. Turok had
you're right.
robots as
I mean,
well.
with-
Yeah, which is great.
With robots, and the robots had backpacks.
Oh, did
Anybody ever
they?
notice that they have like little satchels on their
Why
backs?
are you running? Why do there's literally guys with zero weapons and they just run at you. They're just
Yeah.
cruising through. I feel like I'm fighting through Central Park on the run trail and I just need to get out of the way. They're screaming on your left. And I'm like, which is my
I'll
left.
hit you with the
And they let
spread
me-
gun.
I'm going to shoot him instead.
It's too bad it's 2D because you can't step aside, but you can definitely jump over them.
So-
the jumping in this is hilarious.
I do have some headcanon to explain that if you guys want to hear about it real quick. I know this
Hit
is a little bit of a
Sure,
offshoot here. So in
Yeah,
my
'cause we're not
headcanon,
totally off the rails as it is.
the ones
never us.
No, we've said the name of the game we're discussing once per minute, so we're okay. But the guys who are running without the guns but have the backpacks, I think what they are doing is they have the dynamite in the backpack and they are running to blow up tunnels or make new pathways and expand the Vile Red Falcon's territory. That's why they don't shoot at you, but when you shoot them, they explode because it's some way you're hitting the explosives in the backpack. So, Konami, if you want to get back to me on that, that'd be great.
It's because the Vile Red Falcon organization is not known for its safety protocols. So when you're running around with a fanny pack full of nitro,
OSHA is pissed.
yeah,
I would love to see that work sign. Like 0
Yeah.
days since our last robot explosion.
Every day.
yeah. Or it's that's what I would love. I would
One
love to play Contra with a kill
erased.
count. That would
that'd be pretty fun. So what's great about this too is
Thought we
you're
did have a
you're-
kill count. It was the lives going backwards.
That's
Yeah.
true, especially when you have 30 of them. That's the plan. So with this game, I lost my train of thought. With Contra, GP's trying to fill in like the lore and the backstory. That's his headcanon, which I find is neat because the North American version of Contra on the NES is missing something the Japanese version has, which is the cutscenes. The Japanese or the Famicom version of Contra has cutscenes that gives you some of the story and context of what the hell's going on. Like you mentioned Red Falcon, I think Chart offline you mentioned before. Why are the aliens in this game all of a sudden? What the hell's up with the aliens?
Yeah, literally the last level, it's aliens.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
We're like, we ran out of people.
And like
Let's bring in
HR
aliens.
Giger sort of alien
Yeah.
and stuff too. Yeah.
It definitely feels like I should be running into Sigourney Weaver down there.
Yeah, that's great. It's odd, and you don't get any context. I want to say even the manual doesn't even really reference the aliens. I could be wrong though. I know the Red Falcon is the organization, but I feel like I only know that because of you, GP, talking about it. I don't think I know. I don't know the official story of NES Contra, if there is
I don't know
one.
anything about Red Falcon. I'm assuming Red Falcon is the icon of the weapons you pick up. That's literally it.
And
Actually, that
I
makes
hadn't put
sense.
together that it's an organization until when you said the Red Falcon organization. I just thought it was the bad guy at the end that was shaped like a heart. I have no idea. I haven't really thought about it. It's, the game is a cake where you're putting the ingredients together. You know what you have to do. But if you're, you might not know what the eggs do, or you might not know what purpose the flour has or the sugar. And so you just do it because you're supposed to, and then you enjoy the thing at the end anyways. So
I was hoping this
Now
was
I'm
going to
hungry.
be a layers story.
Oh
It's
man,
like
and
a
there's
cake. It's
layers.
got a lot of layers to it.
Well,
Yeah,
there is.
so many
You've seen the
layers.
What's it
waterfall
called?
level.
Laser guns.
Probator?
Protector.
Is it called What?
Protector.
Protector.
Yeah.
It sounds like a stomach pill you take that helps you poop better.
Yeah.
I like that. I would take
You
that.
know
pill.
what? I had constipation until I took my Protector, and I'll tell you what, it's better than the yogurt.
Side effects include random explosions.
Backpacks full of nitrous
Yeah.
dynamite,
and anal fissures.
Yeah.
and constant running,
Spontaneous alien combustion from your chest. Yeah.
There you go.
and spread
I'm
shots.
experiencing 4 of the 5 right now and loving it.
For that
Protector,
fifth
I'm
one,
healthy.
subscribe to our Patreon.
Got a healthy gut.
So, okay. Protector. Which name? Let's go back to the names real quick. Which one do you guys like better? Just for my own edification. Do you guys like the Grace? What'd you say? Gray sword?
Grayzor.
Okay, that one's out.
Razor,
You guys don't.
personally,
I'm
That's
not giving you
terrible.
the
I didn't even know
honor of that
about it
Sounds
until
like
today.
a,
Yeah.
one. Contra
sounds
or
like a-
Protector?
Power Rangers enemy.
Yeah. That's
Grayzor.
exactly what that sounds like.
Yeah.
I think Contra is a dope name. I understand they took it from the Iran Contra thing, but it's a pretty dope ass word. And the fact that it was kind of that paramilitaristic sort of thing was pretty cool. I don't know. Protector is cool, but also in the game, like I said, they redesigned Lance Bean, I think his name was, to be a robot, which you can unlock as a playable character in the DS version of Contra 4. It's got like the
can
whole
you?
roster. It's very cool. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's the thing with what I didn't even know the Contra 4 existed until you told us this week, GP. And I had a chance to play it. And it is a 100% love letter fan service to the original Contra. That opening stage in Contra 4 on the DS is absolutely a mirror of the NES game. The soundtrack is pumping and it's dope. The characters, the way it shoots. It's really an amazing game, actually. I'm surprised how good it is. It's done by Way Forward, who are the guys who do the Shantae series. So if anybody's not played Contra 4 on the DS, you gotta check it out. It's a really well done game.
It's a love letter, so you start in Vietnam and then you get sucked into space. Is that?
Well, there's aliens
Sure,
in
It's not a
between. And,
documentary.
Can someone please explain the story of Contra to me? As in, why
No.
am I bombing bases and then all of a sudden I'm literally on the Nostromo trying to fight off aliens? What is that about?
You have to
Nostromo,
defeat the
sorry.
vile red
Sorry,
Falcon, and that's
yeah,
it.
who's a giant
And
heart.
I
for some
also
reason.
want to say this is the only time I will refer to it as a Falcon, the vile red Falcon. I don't even say Millennium Falcon. I'll say Falcon.
It's a
The Maltese Falcon.
freaking
Get the
heart.
fuck out. Yes,
Yeah.
it's the vile red Falcon.
Are we in the Falkland Islands? Is that what it is? You're in.
The Falkland Islands for strategic sheep purposes.
Oh my God. No, I've never
It's-
concerned myself with the plot. I wish I would, because I'm typically the kind of guy who's like, okay, what's my motivation? Why am I killing all these robots or aliens? Do I disagree with their
'Cause they're
outlook
running
on
at you.
things? What's going on? Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's the entire thing from South Park.
He's
He's coming right at us.
Yeah, it's coming right at us. Shoot 'em.
Boom. Guess he
You'll
explodes.
spill your beer.
Yeah.
No, you know what it is? I think this game's story, they rely on the player. You see a naked guy, half white dude, just with a machine gun and a bandana, and you're expected to flash back to like Commando and Running Man and Predator. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's like you're filling in the blanks yourself when you see this guy. Isn't it the cover art for the NES Contra? Didn't they model after Stallone and who was the other guy? It wasn't. It was Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah. Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, he did some action movies.
Well, a few.
Did he
Yeah.
high five the guy and go, "You son of a bitch," and then they went after aliens?
I have a story about that for you. I'll tell you later because it's not okay
Fantastic.
here. But man,
Come to our
love that
Patreon
movie.
for more.
Yeah, we don't have one. This gold is just
So
going
It's
to
got
got
go
a
I wanna
content
get into
video we
detail.
almost got.
Yeah.
I
Back
feel
in the days of
like
therapy.
so. There's a Contra 2. Is there a Contra 2?
Yeah, Super
I mean,
C.
it's- yeah,
Super
it's called
C's
I
the
Contra
thought
2.
Contra
Super C was technically Contra 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I incorrect on this assumption?
It
No,
is.
that's accurate.
Okay. So Contra 2, now I didn't get very far in it because I'm terrible at it, but there was no like specialty level, right? It was all side scrolling the whole time, or was there like
I couldn't
there
get past
like
the
a-
first
like a base
stage,
level?
so I don't know. My research ended at Contra 1.
Because Contra 3 has that
Yes.
awful Mode 7 spin off, literally spin off,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that makes me want to choke out people. It is
Yeah.
not fun and it gets me spinny and I hate it. So if they could keep the side scroller thing, other than getting drilled by that big freaking robot in stage 3, if they could just keep the side scrolling thing, we'd be solid. But having to like use the shoulder buttons to spin,
Yeah.
it's so clunky.
Yeah, that's
Let's
Contra
not-
3 Alien Wars,
let's
also
not
known
skip
as
over
Contra
Super C though
3
yet.
Motion Sickness Mode 7 Happy Fun Time in Europe. And it's just an excuse to use Mode 7. That's all it is. Yeah, and it's gross.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you.
I think it's a fun game, but yeah, I agree. There's a whole lot of movement that you didn't ask for, and it's
Yeah.
a hindrance, and it makes the game less playable and less fun.
I feel
I
like
do want it.
the
Go ahead.
first half of the game, or at least the first level of the game, they had some going. Like I felt good playing it, and then you drop into what I think it's the second level,
Like
and
second or
they drop you
third,
into
yeah.
Mode 7, like right off the bat, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I got this spinny scorpion thing with a tank, and it turns into a bullet hell, and it's just very awkward to run with. Like even the Genesis, the Contra, Hardcore or whatever that you were talking about, the Hardcore Contra or whatever,
Hardcore, yeah.
Mhm.
that had some good stuff in it, but there was no weird Mode 7 or any of the base levels. It was
Yeah.
very straightforward side scroller.
Yeah, Contra Core
I
on the
almost feel
Genesis.
like maybe they developed. Say
Go
what?
ahead. I was going to say Contra Core Hardcore. It has gimmick levels for sure, but nothing like the Mode 7 queasiness, and nothing like the base first person view or third person view like the original. It has vehicle levels, but it's basically still Contra Hardcore. It's the same controls. It's just a bit of a unique spin on it, but nothing drastic.
See, and I kind of look at the Genesis Contra the way I look at the Genesis Castlevania. It feels like a departure, and I don't care about it.
No,
I'm sorry,
come
I
on.
just-
Okay,
You know,
see, because you guys seem
There's not enough.
lukewarm on Contra
There's not enough
Hardcore.
farty bass.
I need the farty
Okay.
base. Yeah.
See,
We need more
you
farty
knock
bass.
it, but Contra Hardcore is probably one of the best Genesis games. And you're a Genesis kid, Chart. I know you are. This is one of my favorite Genesis games. I
Closet.
can't even beat it. It's one of my favorite games.
Closet Genesis game.
Closet.
I
Okay,
was
we
a
don't-
Genesis kid by situation, not because I longingly looked at the Super Nintendo, longingly playing. I guess I'll play Sonic. I love Sonic. That's my favorite, probably my favorite series on the whole Sega Genesis. But there's very few games that I wasn't like, you know what's better? Anything on the Super Nintendo, except for Sonic.
You know, when it comes to shooters, though,
I take Sonic over Mario personally, but that's me.
yeah. When it
That's
comes to
all that
running
is.
guns, Contra on the Genesis, I think is better than what's on the Super Nintendo, personally. And I'll tell you why. Contra Hardcore on the Genesis, it has 4 characters. I mean, the story is batshit crazy. It's like way in the future, aliens, robots. It makes no sense, granted, but neither does the other Contra
At
game
least
story.
there's a connecting story.
Yes.
I just don't show up in a cave and I'm like, oh, there's a heart in here. Cool.
Why are they running at me to make
I'm
tunnels?
sorry. You say that like there's a logic leap. If you were running in an alien-filled cave and you found a glowing, pulsating heart, would you not shoot the fuck out of it? I would.
No, I'd
No,
run the
I'm
other
just
way.
saying, why was I was asking questions when I entered the cave, going, why
how
are
did
there
this happen?
aliens in a cave?
You're just
Why
in a
aren't
military
they out
base.
in the open like everything else is?
Okay. I will show love for Contra Hardcore for no other reason than it's one of the 5 titles that I know for the Genesis.
Okay. Look,
The
four
other 3 are
characters.
Sonic 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Oh,
4
I need to update
characters.
that to 7. I now know 7 titles.
Each of the characters has its own unique set of weapons. So all the weapons that can drop in the game, each character has its unique version of them. There's 2 different shooting modes,
That's cool.
right? There's multiple branching paths. There is story, take it or leave it. All the bosses are incredibly unique. It's a really fantastic game. It's up there with some of the stuff that Treasures does. I'd heard a rumor, I don't know how much is true because exhaustive research, but some of the folks that worked on Hardcore ended up going to form Treasure after Konami. I don't know how true that is though. But it feels like a Treasure game in terms of shooter. It feels like Gunstar Heroes to a degree. Like it's hard. And that's the funny thing too, is carrying the tradition of regional differences. It's in the title, yeah. But the Japanese version of Contra Hardcore, instead of the one hit you die and limited continues, in the Japanese version there's unlimited continues and you have a health bar, which almost feels wrong that you have a health bar in a Contra game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a shirtless guy carrying a giant gun?
One of the
Yes, one of
characters
them
is
do.
shirtless.
Okay,
Yeah.
then you don't need a health bar. If you are
So
going
question.
into a war zone naked, then you need to have a single hit death. I'm sorry. That's just how that goes.
Does this line up? Let's quickly diverge to another Konami classic of Castlevania and Castlevania 3. Hold on.
Okay.
Does
okay.
this game line up with the whole renting versus buying debacle that was Castlevania 3 Japanese version versus the American version? Does Contra Hardcore sit within that realm of, if you get the Japanese version, you have a health bar and unlimited continues, but in America you get one shot and 5 continues or something like that? Right?
Yeah, like you can conceivably die in the first stage and use all your continues. I've done it, and it's very tough couple games. Wouldn't surprise me if it's a rental thing. Would not surprise me. But the game is long. Like it's not a short game on Genesis. It's a meaty game, and I feel like even if they gave you the unlimited continues and you powered through it, there's at least 3 endings in the game. So there's different paths you can take. So I feel like it's overextending on preventing rentals, honestly. But yeah, it's a solid game.
I mean, that's what they were doing it for, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
They
has
were
to
trying
be.
to get
Yeah.
people to keep their games longer.
Throw a wrench in it. Yeah. Okay. And that's a great point, Chard. I hadn't thought about that. I have to say something real quick, and it's just going to prove that Contra Hardcore is not a great game. Can I do that real quick?
Please.
I guess so.
Okay. And this has nothing to do with my own personal feelings about the game. It has to do with something Jake said that proved it. Sorry to sick Jake. And that is,
What's that? Shitting
that
on Sick
the
Jake's
people
choice of
who
game this
made the
week?
game-
Mark it on your bingo card.
Well, we
So,
don't have
no.
to start pointing at his back shelf, so we have to go somewhere.
Okay, so Contra Hardcore, I can disprove or I can prove, I'm sorry, that it's a bad game by something Jake said, which is that the development team and the people who made the game, after the game came out, immediately left the company to start their own shit. Nobody is like, that was a great experience. I can no longer work here.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just
that's
rumors.
all the jobs I leave are just like,
Just
these were
rumors.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Can't wait to never do this again.
Yeah. Next Contra came out and they're like, that was dope. Let's do 6 more stages. And
No,
then they did. And the final boss battle at the end oddly looks like Scarlett Johansson. Look it up.
Scojo.
Yes. The
There's a final
gorgeous and
boss for
Scarlett
you.
Johansson, if you're listening, hi.
Hi.
But no, yeah, go watch a playthrough if you can't beat the game or make it to the end. I've always thought this from the moment I saw Scarlett Johansson. I'm like, where the hell do I know her from? And then eventually I'm like, oh yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
That's all I got.
I don't
I don't
know.
care
I just
about
think you
hardcore.
hate Genesis, GP. You're just a Nintendo kid at heart. That's all.
But it's not for the sake of hating Genesis. I love Flicky. I think Flicky is one of the best
Flicky.
contributions from the Genesis.
You hate Sonic 2, and
Which
you don't.
in its own way is a run and gun.
You're
think
saying
so hard.
Flicky is a fucking better game than Contra Hardcore. Flicky. With the
Were
cat.
saying that Circus Charlie is better than most games out there.
There's
so let me have
multiple
this
play
one.
styles. There's at least 5 different stages. Contra Hardcore has like
Wait,
15
in Circus
stages.
Charlie, there's multiple play styles? There's
Yes.
one button.
But there's jump
You jump.
over
you don't do
lions
anything else.
or
You
fire
can't even
hoops.
go
You-
back and forth.
You know what you can do in Flicky that you can't do in Circus Charlie? Go left.
I was gonna say, have fun.
Where do you go left in Contra? When do you ever go left in Contra?
Contra's not on the table for this one. This is strictly Flicky versus Shirtless Charlie.
Yeah, no, Contra's on the table because we're not doing an entire episode about Contra or anything. No. Let's just roll this back and retitle this episode
Flicky better, though?
What?
The spread gun. The spread gun would have made Flicky more enjoyable.
All right.
But I do love Flicky, unironically.
Fucking Flicky. Next, you can tell me Mappy is the best Nintendo game ever. Like, it's crazy.
It isn't?
No,
it's almost as good as the original 7-Up Spot game for the NES. Am I understanding that correctly?
Sega Genesis had a version of Cool Spot as well.
Okay.
And that game rocked. I like that one.
No, but that was trash because that was a shitty platforming game.
Yeah.
The real board game, platforming game is Cool Spot on the NES. But that's just, you guys are so mean to
every
me.
morning I wake up, I stare deeply into the mirror. I look at myself and I say, you know what I want? You know what I'd like to see in my life? I want to represent a caricature from a soda company that took coloring out and rivaled the only other non-colored soda out there, but they don't have a freaking character to play as. You know what? 7-Up, Cool Spot. Let's go. Let's go. My day is complete. Every morning, all I want to do is be Cool Spot.
Another headcanon, and I'm sorry for all the little trails we're going off on, but we have to acknowledge that when the Cool Spot Super Nintendo and Genesis game came out, they were trying to blow the other or the other clear soda out of the water. And this is before people were familiar with video game terminology. So while they're looking at this, they're like, I like this Cool Spot character. He very well represents 7-Up. But can we move what do we call him, a character? And then somebody had to speak up and say, no, he's called a sprite.
And then they hired Drake, and we were done.
And they're like,
7-Up was done.
Boom. Yes, but they're like, no, we don't want people to even think about that. Okay,
Last
you got to
name
move
ever,
your sprite left.
first name greatest.
That's okay.
This is a Contra episode, right? Because I don't
spread
feel
gun
like
is the only weapon you want, right? You don't want any other weapons; they're all useless.
There are badges if you're doing the Chivo sets for beating the game with each individual gun. So that is a fun challenge, especially if you grew up only playing it one way. But yeah, it's good.
Does that mean you have to do a deathless with the same weapons?
One way too. Poorly.
Yeah, me too.
Did the flamethrower get introduced into 3?
Okay, there was an F, but it was a fireball that went around.
Oh, the corkscrew.
Yeah,
sorry, let me give you circles.
The spiral ball, which was absolutely useless because I'd be shooting shit and it would go through. It would go around the guy.
No, but if
it
you
takes
duck,
forever to get there.
It's slow. But if you duck and shoot it, you can hit things above you.
Not if you have a no ducking achievement. You have to accomplish, Jake.
That
was a fun one. That was a hard one to get. But it was
no ducking.
Yes. It is a Chivo at least. Yes. I don't know if it's the entire game in the first level, but it certainly is early
It's the entire game.
But if you have a wonky D-pad, you're screwed. There's no way.
There's a medicine for that if you have a wonky D-pad. The best thing to do is just to deprogram or reprogram your controller to not have a down button.
Pro protector for your wonky D-pad.
That's wild. Okay.
We need to be making shirts or some shit, guys. We need to be doing retro style commercials.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like we don't have backlog of these episodes for us to refer to when we go, what was that stupid thing we said the other day? Oh, wonky D-pads and Pro Protector.
Okay.
So spread gun is universally the best weapon in all of them, correct?
I think so.
I feel like if they had included that in Ready Player One and somebody had that, it would have just been game over. Nobody exists in the Oasis. Whoever had the spread gun wins.
Ready Player One, more like Ready Player Done. Spread gun.
Ooh. Nice.
There you go.
Not even a sequel.
The head of marketing for Press B.
RPT? No. No, yeah, I think immediately people who struggled with the first half of the first stage, like, oh man, there's so many guns, I don't know what to use. This game sucks. It's super hard. And then they got the spread and they're like, well, this is delightful. And then they just went to town. I mean, really, growing up as a kid, that's the only way I could beat it. With or without the 30 lives.
With a stray bullet and it takes the gun away. And you're like, well, I hate everything.
And then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's very easy to fall from the peaks. Yeah.
Like
I don't
still
think
remember
I
when,
think I beat the game with the pea shooter because I kept losing all my guns.
like when you go into the bases and
Damn,
it's a
dude.
third person view, it's so easy to get
Yeah.
killed by stray bullets, or for some reason they throw cylinders in the floor at you slowly, or you run
Yeah,
into
I
the
don't know what
electrical
that's about.
fields. Yeah, it's just I can't explain this game.
It's like someone's rolling. They're like doing soda bowling and they're throwing 2 liters at you of Dr. Pepper.
And it works. Somehow you're like, ow, my shin. Guess I'll be dead now.
Guess I'm dead. That
Yeah.
sucks. I slipped.
Guess I'll
I
guess
slipped,
I'll just
cracked my head
die.
open.
Yeah.
Guess dumb ways to die.
Yeah. Again, this is not a great thinker of a game. And I think
Yeah.
if you don't lose yourself too much in the how and the why, you're going to be okay. But if you're struggling with the game and you're looking for a good reason to quit the game, but you don't want to admit defeat, think about the logic of it and be like, I can't do this. This doesn't make any sense. So game over.
I can't finish this game because I can't wrap my brain around it.
Yeah. If you can't,
Because the
it's
story
nonsense
doesn't
to
make
go,
sense.
okay, sure. It's like Mario 3. You got a leaf and that gives you a raccoon tail. Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're okay.
Don't
Keep
question
playing.
it. I will say, in terms of like NES hard, this game is difficult, but it's nowhere near like Battletoads or even Mega Man 1 or Kirby. It's nowhere near that top 10 of hard games.
Well, okay, hold on now. But yeah, no, you're right. This game does land on a lot of NES hard like top 10 lists, and I don't think it needs to be there.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
the
a
one
difficult
shot
game.
kill thing.
Yeah.
That's why
Yeah.
you know, if you're not playing it like me and you don't do the 30 lives thing, you get what, 3 lives to get through the damn game? Takes a lot of
Well,
practice
but
to
you
get good at
get
something
more
like
by
that.
shooting more people, and if
Yeah.
you need lives, you can just lay down and wait. They'll eventually
You
spawn
get
again.
lives by taking lives. That seems to make perfect sense.
That's video game
You know,
logic again.
if the ratio was 1-to-1, then the game would have been a lot easier.
Well, I cut out the middleman and put in the digits and got the all 30 I needed.
So hold on,
But
you can farm
no,
lives?
it's like it's almost an earlier bullet hell. I mean,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
really, but it is. I mean, it's nowhere near the bullet hells that are out these days, or even later on from there. But it just seems like it's suffocating. Like there's no place to go.
We cut our teeth on these growing up. So the people who played, Contra growing up are like, okay, now let's make that game, but you can't really move anywhere. And that's, bullet hell.
And
We're
now
like,
we
yeah,
play
it's kind of
Vampire
tame.
Survivor.
Oh my God. Some of the videos I've seen from you guys playing that are just absurd. I kind of want to play it, but I
You
can't.
could.
I've got a backlog that has to be done this year. And I can't.
You got some
Not
Final Fantasy to
important. Let's keep
finish.
talking about
But yeah.
Contra.
But you know what?
Yeah.
So go back to Contra 3 for a second and the Mode 7 thing. If that, I feel like if they went with that style, but instead of spinning around 360, they just made it like a shmup. Make it a bullet hell, because that feels more in the spirit of Contra than whatever the hell that 360 thing is. But I could see the overhead. I could see the eagle eye view as a shmup version of this.
I feel
It
like
already
they
seems
probably
schmuppy.
developed some of that stuff. Like, I think if you had said they actually came up with this game and the Mode 7 stuff before the Super Nintendo was released and they wanted to release it as a look what we can do with this, that would make sense. I don't think that's the case at all of what really happened. But yes, I agree. If they had dialed that down and maybe didn't do the spin around stuff so much, a much more fun and playable, enjoyable
Yeah.
experience.
Make me turn with the control sticks, like the D-pad. Make me turn with that. Don't make me use the shoulder buttons, because I feel like there's too much going on. And my brain's trying to like turn and I'm scrolling into the wall, and then the snake thing bites me in my ass. And I'm like,
Well-
or it shoots at me.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter if you're using the Super Nintendo greatest controller ever or the Nintendo Switch Pro's second best controller of all time, as determined
I was
by
going
our
to say,
science.
what controller were you
But,
playing this with, Char? Were you using that piece of shit PlayStation 5 controller? Because the shoulder buttons on that are not good. But the SNES controller, those shoulders are really good. How are the shoulder buttons on that? Oh, I insulted
They're good.
I insulted the Stream Deck.
They're
I know.
good.
Are they good?
That's what I played it on, because I was playing it in bed before I went to work.
I feel the Super Nintendo shoulder buttons
Ooh,
are
I can't
really
imagine
good, though.
playing a Contra game. I can't imagine learning a Contra game with somebody sleeping next to me. Just the sheer amount of like jostling and bullshit.
Oh,
Because
it's the
I'm
quiet. We call it the quiet anger in my house.
The quiet anger. Settle down in bed. Cup
Don't
of
say
steamed milk.
nothing, but it still sweats out of your body.
The screams come out in the form of blood from the nose and ears.
You feel it more than you hear it.
Yeah. But okay, so if you're doing that, do you have headphones in? Like, to me, one of the highlights and one of the facets of Contra is the music. You got to listen to the music while you're jamming or while you're playing the game. It's a dope
I have no idea
soundtrack.
what it sounds like. No idea what it sounds like. I had to play it on mute every time. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you. What was the Benny Hill song? It's almost circus-like. But anyway, I want you to play that while playing Contra and tell me if that doesn't heighten the experience for you.
I can already hear it, and I can already see it.
Just make.
That's what I do. I'm just running, gunning. Circus, Charlie can't suck my big. Okay, anyway.
All right. Yeah. But that's the thing. That's what the joke is, right? The difference between comedy and horror is the soundtrack, right? I feel like Contra.
Joke is Circus Charlie. That's the real joke.
Look, you put the soundtrack to Circus Charlie. It's an amazing fucking game. We're gonna do an episode on Circus Charlie. We have to.
Chokey.
I'm gonna get the list of all the games.
We talk about it enough.
No, it needs a dedicated hour.
It's in every episode. You think Elden Ring's bad? Circus Charlie is squeezed in far more than Elden Ring.
I love Elden Ring. I'm just saying the story is not the greatest thing ever. I mean, Contra has a more coherent plot than fucking Elden Ring. I mean, I have to read an item description in Contra to find out what the plot is. Anyway.
And aliens.
Yeah, why they're aliens.
That's the reason. That's the because.
I'll go in shooting.
Because aliens.
I had to start blasting.
Obviously look very menacing.
Yeah. What we need.
Yeah, so I
started blasting.
We mentioned Marvel earlier. Somebody needs to come up with this ROM hack. You can choose from one of the Avengers, for example, his name was, or Scorpion, or Mad Dog, or whatever his name was. And then instead of a gun, he throws a shield. And then instead of the little, backpack aliens, it's the Chitauri from Avengers. There's no downside.
Why don't we have a character named Gorilla Bill?
Do you not know the true story behind the real Gorilla Bill?
Is that a real character?
Yes. No, I don't know that.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about that, and I'm not going to talk about why. I'm kidding. I don't know if there's a real Gorilla Bill. I just wanted to fuck with you. I can't believe you brought up Gorilla Bill.
Wow.
Oh my God.
We're canceled.
Somebody's favorite character is Gorilla Bill, and we just lost him.
For the record, if there's a Gorilla Bill story out, I don't know what it is. It's just coincidence.
I thought you were talking about the guy from Captain America with the bowler hat and the mustache. I can't remember the hell his name is, though.
And that's Gorilla William.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay.
Gorilla William.
He has a weird name, too, anyway.
Primate William.
Yeah, please. We got to be proper on this
He's
podcast.
A gibbon, you dick.
All right. Have you guys played any other version of this game? Have you played like the Game Boy version of Contra? There's a few.
There's a PlayStation 1 version.
Sure I have.
That I remember wanting to like. Huh?
There is a place. Is there a PlayStation? It's not
maybe
3D,
it's PlayStation
is it?
2, but I'm pretty sure it's a PS1. Huh?
It's not 3D, is it? It's still a side scroller.
I don't remember. I remember renting it and then
not good, huh?
hating it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was the graphics were to that game what Mode 7 was to the Alien Wars. Like you wish they just didn't try so hard because then it wouldn't suck.
Right.
Ultimately very forgettable. But the cover of it, if I'm remembering correctly, is very memorable. I'll try to put that in our Discord. So if you're not following our Discord, please pop in there and I will make sure to put it in chat.
Yeah. It's one thing about this game and series is that it was ported to quite a number of different systems, right? Because the original Contra, for example, was on the MSX. It was arcade was the original one, I guess. It was on the ZX Spectrum, which is that 4-color computer from the UK. There was a DOS port, which if you want a good time,
you were talking about the DOS port.
Yeah, go look up the DOS port. It has that nice shade of magenta that early DOS games have. It's god awful. But it's neat in that it has both the exterior. That's pretty good cover art.
If you remember that.
But it also has
Legacy
the internal,
War,
the base running part with the map and everything. So it has the map on the side, and you're running through the base like classic Contra. So it has all the elements. It just looks like ass. There's Commodore 64 version even. Like it's interesting to see the various attempts to shoehorn Contra into different systems. But yeah, it's interesting. I was going to bring this up too. Is that there is a mobile Contra that came out 2 years ago. I want to say it was one of those. It was a newer arcade game. not a good arcade game. It was like the ones at Chuck E. Cheese or Dave and Buster's, that kind of arcade game.
Nice.
And they ported that to handheld or phones, but they added a gacha system, right? Where you get the random weapons and skins and shit like that. And it seems like Contra only in name, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many games like Contra were out when? Because Contra was it, right? Contra was like the side scroll and run and gunner. That was it. Yeah.
He had Mega Man.
Not the same though.
But Mega Man was, I mean, Mega Man is Mega Man, but it's its own thing, right? Because Contra was like you collect items as you're running, and it's literally a bullet hell.
There's more agility.
Mega Man was do your best to get. It was the rock paper scissors, right? The rock paper scissors game where you get the next person's thing, and there was a plan to the whole thing. While Contra was less plan, more we're just running and gunning. We're just going at it. And we're taking
ready fire, aim. Which they need to adjust that from rock paper scissors to rock paper scissors spread gun. Game over.
Spread gun wins everything.
I bet Mega Man would be unstoppable with spread gun.
Mega Man's unstoppable with nothing. He's Mega Man.
He shoots lemons.
That's what I want. I want there to be. I know I mentioned earlier like a Marvel hack for Contra. No, give me Mega Man.
So there's
the real Probotector.
There's a crossover game, Mario Brothers crossover that some guy put together. Totally illegal, totally not shady at all. It was made in Flash, but it was Mario Brothers 1, and he had like 20 characters. So you could play Mario Brothers 1 as Simon Belmont, as Mega Man, as Bill from Contra.
Oh,
and
Samus.
They all had
Samus. I played that, yeah.
Yeah, or Link. And when you got the mushroom, it gave you an upgraded weapon. I think if you got the mushroom as Bill, you got the spread shot, I think. So that's the closest you're going to get to something like that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's pretty good. I don't know. Contra's. I think it's a fantastic game. It's a series. I wish. I mean, Konami doesn't make video games anymore, and I hope they don't put this in pachinko. But I'd like to see a return to Contra, especially after seeing how great Contra 4 was on the DS. Like I'm impressed with that game. Like when I first watched the video of it, it uses both the DS screens. It's almost like a vertical game, like the original arcade machine. Just the pace of it, the music. I want to see more games like that, and it's kind of sad we don't have that.
And there's a lot of really cool unlockables in that DS version. There's, I want to say like some trivia bits, some almost like article format things that you can read about the history of the game, or the development and all that kind of stuff. There in the DS version, you can unlock the original Contra and Super C to play that on your DS as well.
That's awesome.
So really, that game is 2 scoops of raisins. I like it a lot.
All right. Any final words on Contra?
My mind palace, so I can get some correlation with your Contra love for Contra 4.
Yeah, you gotta check it out. It plays really well.
All right.
So I know before we wrap up the episode, I do want us to talk about Press B's Top 100. I think you guys touched on it last week. And make sure we have time for that. So we are, as a podcast, we're trying to work through our top 100 games that you should play before you die. And every episode, we want to just, nominate a game to go on that list. And then in a future episode, we're going to basically hash out that list and pick the best of the best. So do you guys have your nominations for this week?
I do.
GP, you want to start?
Yes. And I know I had mentioned maybe nominating Contra, but since this is a Contra episode, that seems a little on the nose. So what I'm going to do, and step out of the NES box for me for a moment, Pole Position. The old original arcade game had the metal pedal, which is fun to say, the steering wheel and the selector lever. You could play it at just about any skating rink, I think, between the years of 1987 and 1993. And I love that game. I think it advanced arcade gaming. I think it was a great game that had multiple ports on multiple systems, and Pole Position.
Yeah, I was gonna say Pole Position. I remember seeing Atari versions of it, Nintendo versions, arcade. It's on a demo, everything. Definitely for sure.
Yeah,
Pole Position is a good choice. I have some appreciation for early racing games. It's what made me such a wonderful driver today. That's not true.
Yeah. I mean, at least you didn't grow up playing Twisted Metal, because that'd be a whole other kind of driver.
God, I love that game.
I was too old. I was right there, like when Twisted Metal was out to driving. So we were real close. We dodged that bullet. Real hard.
Jared, how about you? What's your nomination for the top 100?
I am stepping back into the Sega Genesis shoes, I think, for my
Good.
selection. And I am going to pick, I am going to pick Sonic the Hedgehog. That's where I'm going with. Sonic the Hedgehog,
Okay.
But Sonic the Hedgehog brought the Genesis to the the teens. While Nintendo was still doing kind of its, still reaching into the younger crowd. Sega really was pushing to try and get more of the middle ground between adult and childhood, the whole teenage aspect. And Sonic was awesome. Sonic was a cool character. Sonic had some cool aspects. They had that dumbass blast processing where you just went really fast, but you could go really fast. I remember getting Sonic and doing freaking loop-de-loops, my first run through. And I love the character. The music was absolutely incredible and
That's
only
great.
gets better through the series. So I'm going with Sonic the Hedgehog as my next selection.
Yeah.
Do you think
By
then,
virtue of the pop culture,
yeah.
absolutely, I think that's a great pick.
Do you see a 100 list where we have more than one Sonic game on it? Do you think Sonic 1 belongs in the list more than Sonic 2 or 3, or if there's room for more than one entry?
See, I would go with Sonic 3 altogether because it is, in my opinion, in the side-scrolling era of Sonic and the Sega Genesis era of Sonic, it is the most polished, it has the best music, it has the coolest stuff in it. Like, if I really wanted to go and we were really finite, I would say Sonic 3 would be my choice out of it, because I think out of all of the Sonics, because we know Sonic took a big dip pretty much after it left its side-scroller days.
Oh, yeah,
Sonic
huge.
3 was the pinnacle. You were like, this was awesome. And you could say Sonic and Knuckles because it's the extended game and everything, but I still correlate Sonic 3 as its own thing. So if I have to choose out of that franchise, then I'm going with Sonic 3 because that soundtrack is off the goddamn charts.
Oh, it's huge.
but one thing we know is that there needs to be a placeholder on the list for at least one Sonic entry.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking. I mean, I'm just trying to think, would we have more than one on the list? We're going to have this problem with Mario, too, because there's more than one good Mario game, just like there's more than one good Sonic game. So it's only 100 games. So
I know, this is a tough assignment.
Like Sonic 1 is great, though. I do like Sonic 1. I'm with you. I think 3 is a better game, but 1 is still a really great game, and it's definitely a game everybody should play. So Sonic 1's a good pick.
It just seems to me like Sonic 1 had like the features, right? The start out features where you're like, this is really cool. It's the first of the series. 2 added some cool stuff into it. You're like, this is neat. And I know you hate Tails, but I thought Tails was a cool addition because you could play with your friends. And I played with my good buddy. So he and I would play the different characters. And then 3, it felt like it was all that. It was 1 and 2, all the quality of life stuff meshed together. Killer soundtrack, awesome stages. It literally felt like the culmination of the first 2 together to make the best version of Sonic on the Sega Genesis.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's a good pick. See, I've been struggling. I'm kind of like trying to make sure we cover not all the popular games, but some other ones that I think are worthy of being on this list that people may not have considered. I'm going to probably go with Balloon Fight on the Nintendo. I know you guys are going to joke about Joust, and that's fine. Joust is a fine game. But Balloon Fight had, again, the multiple styles of gameplay. You had the classic level of waves where you're knocking out enemies and whatnot. But you also had the balloon trip mode where you're kind of dodging these stars as you go in a side scroller, auto scroller. But the physics in that game feel really fun. You have the 2 different ways. You have like the slow flap and the fast flap to move around the screen. There's different elements on the levels. There's the fish that fucking eats you, you or the enemies. If you manage to push an enemy off the ledge, he gets eaten by the fish. The style is really good, and it's an early NES title. It's a black box title, and it's a classic game.
Title that's got some merit to it, right?
And I honestly, I prefer Joust, but for the reasons that you're saying, I think you're right. I think between the 2, Balloon Fight probably needs to be on there instead. But honestly, I'm just happy that one of the 2 kind of that ilk is on there. Sinistar is going to die on that hill of Joust. He's also saying NBA Jam, which is probably on my list because I need to have some Sega stuff and some sports, but we'll get to that later. And then, of course, Blitzbrom in chat is saying NFL Blitz, which, a lot of sports recommendations from the chat today, which is good.
Yeah,
But
I know
we'll get there.
offline we talked about a
Those are
few of
good.
them, and there's NBA Jam. I could definitely see one of us nominating. NFL Blitz is an interesting one because I'm not a football guy.
Joe Montana football
Fine.
95 Sega Genesis.
But
What's
Blitz,
the one where there's zombies and
yeah.
monsters? Monster League football.
Mutant League
That's
football.
my favorite
Yeah,
of the football.
Mutant
Yeah,
League,
yeah.
Mutant League
Mutant
football
League,
league.
Mutant
Yes.
League. Other than
Yeah.
Tecmo,
Yep.
obviously Tecmo
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Anyway, yeah.
Of course.
All right. Well, that's our 3 nominations for the week. We'll add
Kid
it to the
Icarus.
list. Kid Icarus. All right.
Yeah, right.
So before we wrap up, anything you want to shout out, or where can folks find you? GP, how about you?
Well, I'm online doing stuff whenever I can. I will be having some videos posted within the next month or two, definitely by summer, for my my original game of the year, not game of the year, Sonic 2, the Sisyphus Challenge. So I'll have that posted, and then the Wheel of Pain that I decided to agree on for some reason. If you remember the good days, the heyday of the retro therapy, and miss some of those old content videos, you can pop over to the retro therapy here on YouTube. And I've recently put some of those videos back up there. And it's odd because one of the videos has like a couple hundred more views than the others. And it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
the video I would have thought. It's a good one. But I don't know who's watching just this one video, but it's hilarious.
Maelstrom.
No, that's the one I would have picked. And
Yeah,
that's
that's a
on
great
there,
one.
but that's not the one that has all the views. So
That's funny.
Jared,
Jared, how about you?
Hit that,
Stars like I like.
that subscribe button. And as I find more of those videos, or if I make new ones, because again, no shortage of ideas,
They're
I
fun.
will. I'll post them on there. But yeah, that's pretty much it here and there.
Jared, where can folks find you, or what have you been playing lately?
Well, we just finished up Dead Space remake,
Yep.
which was phenomenal. You can check the episode last week as we had finished it. I finished it that same weekend. I'm taking the weekend off from streaming, just kind of playing some games with the wife and hanging out. I'm working on Final Fantasy IV / the After Years, the PSP collection. 303 achievements on retro achievements. So God help me.
Balanced
Insane.
breakfast.
Yeah, it's a balanced breakfast, all right. I'm gonna enjoy the first half of it, then hate myself for the last half. So at least it's got a nice taste, but the back end is awful. So I look forward to completing that. So that's what we're working on now. I also have a right now I have a vote up for the next game we're going to badge, next RPG that we're going to badge, and Chrono Trigger on the DS is winning by 1 vote behind
Really?
Lufia 2. Rise of the Sinestrals, not
Oh.
Sinistars, the Sinestrals. So if you're interested, go to my Discord and vote and check that out. I might put that in the Press B and see what the Presbyterians have to say about that.
Yeah.
Sinistar's Intrails? Sinestrals?
Sinistars and Trails, yes.
Yeah.
Thank God we
Yeah.
got Pro Protector.
Yeah, no shade against Lufia, but man, somebody better pick Chrono Trigger on DS. That'd be a fun one to play through, especially with Sinistar playing through.
I know I
Chrono Trigger
should
right
Winning
now.
by 1.
I know I should save this for after, but here's a quick idea. A coffee mug, but on the coffee mug, it's Probotector, but we make it look like it's a pill logo or like a pharmaceutical logo. I'll drink coffee out of that all day.
We got it, Mitch, again. We really
I
do.
want the P to look like a poop.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I
I'm
love
Sick
that.
Jake.
We'll put
You
a
can
little
find me
therapy
on
bill on
Twitter a lot of the time. I am still working through Battletoads. I took a bit of a hiatus because Valheim ate all my free time. But I'm going to get back to some more Battletoads runs, and I'll post them up on YouTube. SICJAKE. Otherwise, make sure you check out pressbtocancel.com. Subscribe to us on your favorite audio podcast software. Like us and follow us on YouTube. Please like this video if you're watching it live. And we'll see you guys all next week.